All right. Hello. This is the third episode of the Gabriel podcast. Thank you for joining me today. My guest today is a very special one. He is a person that I met in high school, and I got to follow him to college and now I get to reconnect with him today. He was one of my original inspirations when I was coming up with the podcast. For the podcast, he's inspired me when I was in college. The things that he did there, his passion that he wears on his sleeve, that he's never afraid to put it out there. Just really inspired me to just kind of get my voice out there and to get my ideas out in the public. So I'm really happy that he stopped by today to have this little talk with me. So with no further ado, I will introduce my guest here. He is Jonathan Beltran is on the screen now. Hi, Jonathan.
Yes, hello. I'm sorry if my ugliness has graced upon the screen, but don't worry. We have a handsome man balancing it out.
No. If there was a poll, 100% of the poll would say the man on the right of the screen here is the 10 out of 10.
Oh man, you're flattering me too much.
Jonathan. How has your New Year's been, my friend?
Oh man, I will honestly say I've just been sleeping a good chunk of the day. I wouldn't say I feel like a bright, beautiful, sunshiny baby, but I will say I feel relatively rested up. A bit disturbed of how we started things during 2021, but I could at least say I feel a little bit more hopeful since 2020's gone. So yeah, that's kind of where I am, and dandy as always.
Well, that's great. Yeah, 2020 was definitely quite the year, and definitely hoping for a better 2021 here.
Indeed, another 365 days of mysteries and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on for the very first few days of the new year.
Hey, thank you for having me here.
All right, Jonathan. So, well, a little bit on our history. Like I said earlier, we had met at Long Beach Polytechnic High School. Do you have any early memories of when we first interacted?
I'm trying to remember. I don't have. Let's see. I can't. I mean, we were in two separate programs. You were in PACE, I believe, and I was in CIC. So there was already a tier list going on over here. But I do remember times whenever we did hang out. Usually when you were with Giovanni and Reggie and whatnot, and of course during the Watson Sensei's lunch period and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for let's see. Yeah, no, it was just kind of just really chill, cool vibes and whatnot. And yeah, no, it was just more kind of a collective experience of just conversations here and there and whatnot. But I don't think I've really, we gotten to really know each other until college or get into super deep conversations.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I think that definitely kind of describes kind of our early interactions. Definitely in high school I was a lot more quiet and a lot more introverted, so definitely I didn't really seek out conversation out that much outside of classmates and that I got to work with. But for you, I remember, yeah, definitely a lot of lunch periods. Maybe I remember the guys would have a lot of homework, and I remember there was this one bench that we would always go to at lunch, and everybody would just be last minute doing their homework there, and I mean. It was always funny to watch.
Those little square in that pocket of the 200 buildings. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Like with like Ramsey, Nathan, Neil, Eddie, and all those guys.
Oh yeah, we even have a
Class.
picture.
Yeah. I was just like, huh, wow. Like we're digging up some like historical high school skeletons right now. So
Right. Yeah. So
yeah. Mhm.
definitely. But I definitely you were even with the small interactions or only with the small interactions. I definitely had this feeling that early on already that you were kind of like I just got this feeling that you were like at least different from like my core friends because they were a lot more quiet too. But I felt like you were a lot more like at least vocal in my
Mm.
memory, like as a person,
Mhm.
and so that always caught my interest.
Now,
Um,
in terms of like, the what is it? The range, the barometer right here. Was it of bad quality or is it of good quality? It's okay to be honest.
I only remember it as good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll change sometime when we get to the college area, even now. So you can see the tick either going here, but most likely going here.
No,
So we'll see.
no. Always here. But
Oh, thank you.
yeah. So I remembered you as as a really cool person in high school. How was like maybe just a couple questions like how was your like high school experience? Do you think like throughout like CIC like how was that
Mm.
like in general?
So I would kind of like just say it went like if I were to have like a little bar graph right here. So it went going up right over here, at least on an academic basis.
Mm-hmm.
And then sophomore year was going up, junior year, and then senior year was just like just because I felt super confident that okay, more skeletons out of the closet for me. Like I thought I was gonna be good at everything because I was gonna be like this Renaissance gentleman of like, yo, I think I could do physics. I think I could do like calculus and stuff. I think I could do like AP English. Yeah, maybe I don't have time for AP Chinese, but I'll take Chinese 7-8. Yeah. I was like a very audacious, proud kid and around senior year, and then reality sunk in, and I was just like, wow, I got a little too confident in myself. And I did learn that I have limits. So, you know, great that I knew that. However, I guess in terms of like just in a social sense, I just felt like I was just like that, like just the guy just going to different places, like different sort of groups. I mean, I do have my core hangout place, which as we mentioned before is like usually within the 200 pocket square, as well as just Watson Sensei's hangout room. I just feel like I just kind of just wandered around just talking with groups that I know that I feel comfortable in, that I at least know back from history and whatever the such. Overall, just kind of like a busy boy, just talking with people, whatnot. At least that's just how I would reminisce.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That's really funny that you brought up the kind of like that whole freshman, sophomore, junior kind of graph that you mentioned.
yeah.
I have never related to something so much to that experience. It is so funny. I have the
What? How?
exact same story.
Oh,
It is
okay.
so funny. You know, when I looked at my at least academic career, like you said, like I came into Pace, like it was difficult. But in terms of grade wise, it was good freshman, sophomore, junior,
Mm-hmm.
and like
Mm-hmm.
you, entering senior year, a lot of people wanted to take it easy and like to have like a nice senior year. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I for some reason like did not want that. What I wanted was 7 AP courses.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
and I just for some reason was just like I'm gonna do that, and
Yeah.
partially because bringing up Ramsey again, we
Yeah.
had this kind of rivalry between us
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of in many different aspects of our life, and that kind of contributed to my decision to take all these APs because he was also taking all these APs. and so it was more of a it felt a very foolish competitive spirit in my side to just be like, okay, like I'm gonna take all these APs, not only because of the competition, but also because I was also genuinely like interested in like academics. So, I had like, a genuine interest in all these classes, but
Right.
most definitely not the time nor like the resources to do well in all of them in senior year that I found. I
Yeah.
I mean, I have been like a tip a typically like really good like student in terms of like grades throughout my whole life, middle school and most of high school. But I mean,
Yeah.
it was a complete shocker. I mean,
Yeah.
absolute shocker in senior year when I just could not juggle all of it. And
Yeah.
yeah, my grades like tanked like they've never before in senior year, and I mean that caused me a lot of distress as
Oh my
well.
gosh, you're telling me because like if at least from what I understood from your story, it's just like yours was like more rooted in like kind of like this whole competition and like this whole basis of interest. Mine was a little bit more more out of hubris. I'm just like, yeah, I think I do this, man, and like I wish and even then like I have these moments like sort of this this hindsight moment where I would ask myself, if there was an actual adult telling me you should not do this, would I even have listened? And I would immediately say no, because I know that my hubris was really strong during that time, and I just it got to a point where I would honestly say I would rather have my family know that I was watching porn than actually see my school loop, because like okay, for those who don't know, school loop is like this sort of report card on the like on the computer that will like put a bulletin board to say you got an A over here, you got a B over here, maybe you also have like an E or an S to say like this particular student is doing really well according to the teacher. uh I know within that year, senior year, they incorporated something devious, in my opinion. I'm only saying this because my grades tanked during that time. They provided that aforementioned bar graph that I mentioned, and you just see it like go up and then just down and down. And then my parents are like, "So, what are you looking at?" And I'm just like, "You don't want to know this." And of course, since I didn't time, it was always going to be in that computer monitor, which would always be kind of like the heart of the house. So when you walk down the hallway, the first thing you see is a computer. So as you see like this giant bar graph of my grades and the decline, my parents are like, "Jonathan, are you okay?" And I'm like, "I think I can make this. You only have like, yeah, I'm like, you only have like 2 months left in class." "I know, but I think I can make this. You're almost gonna graduate, but I think I could make this, guys. Just trust me." So yeah, no, that was basically just senior year was just that sort of that lesson in hubris. I was just kind of like Icarus, just flying up to the sun, thinking that I could actually reach these heights. I could actually make it into like the above 4.0 grade. Not to brag, but thankfully I did. But it didn't go to the expected route of UC Berkeley. It, however, I still will say, as much as it was painful in senior year, knowing that I didn't do so hot in there, I was on the verge of getting a D in calculus. I can say it definitely was a big wake up call to let me know like I had my limits. Like it got to a point where I actually did have to, unfortunately, quit the swim team just because I needed to focus more on my studies, and I really wanted to do more swim. It's just the way I had to set myself up or set myself up. I knew that I had to own my own decisions and whatnot, and as a result, I'm still ever grateful that I have learned this about myself. I just knew, or rather, I just hope at times it could be a little less painful as it was during senior year.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I feel that. I feel that pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Icarus story. I mean, I that is a good comparison.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, I feel you.
Mhm.
My story is very similar. So,
Well,
but
I'm glad that someone shares in my pain.
right. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, you did. I mean, I have to relate back to that calculus. I mean, I was
Yeah.
also like borderline. Borderline getting the D in that class like
Yeah.
throughout the year too, and I mean
Yeah.
that was painful. That was just
Oh my
painful.
gosh, yeah. I never thought there will be a time where I just felt proud I got a D in like a test. I was just like, wow, I'm making progress, guys. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's really amazing. In terms of
Mhm.
like how funny that like we went through that kind of similar experience.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So once again, glad I'm not alone. Yes. I can never say I'm sorry. uh I own up to everything.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's there's high school for you. So
Mhm.
how was the picking of colleges for you? Was that you mentioned UC Berkeley? Was there other universities that you were looking into?
Yeah, I kind of going back to just the whole I had a lot of confidence in myself. I thought like I set myself up to go to MIT. Um super prestigious school. I just know within that year I just would not get accepted just cuz a
Mm-hmm.
senior year. Uh the other ones were like UCLA, UCI, Berkeley, and UCLA. I got rejected, so I just know like okay, I won't be able to go to those. Um, However, I did know that UCI was I did get accepted there, and at that moment in time, I really thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and so I actually took a little mini tour for myself with my sister because she was an alumni, and we go to the UCI Law School where we just toured around the facilities, got to know more about it. And it was at that moment in time where I asked the tour guide, you know, would it matter that, or would it give me a leg up to be in UCI to go to UCI Law School? And she just said, no, you don't have to. Like we could basically accept anyone from any college because this is a graduate program, which little old Jonathan did not know there was a difference between undergrad and graduate school. So when I heard that, I just said, "Oh, awesome! That means I could go to like any other college, right?" And she said, "Yes, totally." And so that's why I decided to go to Cal State Long Beach. Just as like it was not only just the more affordable thing. At the time, wanted to travel abroad, which spoiler alert, I never did. Uh, and two, it was just I just felt like if I could just get the same kind of education because it is going to be undergrad either way. Um, I would honestly say it's just like why not go to Cal State Long Beach? It's just not only just the more economical way. I just think also there's just so much potential, uh, which even in high school, I bagged on Cal State Long Beach just because it's a local school and whatnot. And then here
Uh,
I am, a CSULB alumni. So more of the hubris being vents and stuff like that.
right.
Senior year was a very was was an exercise in humility I've come to reckon with along the way. So yeah, no, that was me during the college selection process. My family was actually incredibly happy that I chose Cal State Long Beach for the economic reason and whatnot. Now talking with other people like friends or yeah, just primarily like high school friends and whatnot, they were kind of like devastated about that. It was like, wait, why? Why'd you go to Cal State Long Beach? And I think it was probably because of how I framed the story and whatnot, where it was just like, oh, I just thought for the sake of saving a few bucks, I would go to Cal State Long Beach. Or maybe even the sense like what was it? Sorry if I'm like overextending my arms. Think of it as a hug. Um, the Yeah, I think it was just more along the lines of framing it as like an economic sense, and also just like I did talk a bunch about like I want to go pursue Berkeley or MIT and whatnot, and now I'm just like local school and stuff like that. So I wasn't I wasn't what was it? I mean, I was disappointed that I didn't get to the school I wanted to. Yet what I can say is, which is another spoiler alert here, I have never felt so blessed to be a part of a great prestigious college such as Cal State Long Beach afterward.
Cool. Definitely
Yeah.
we're gonna have to expand on the college, but a quick question before that. I never knew
Tell me.
this about you wanting to be a lawyer. How did that? I mean, you have to expand on that.
Yeah. So I have a very juvenile answer to that. I started playing Ace Attorney. Yeah. Yeah, it all started with a video game. I was like, wow, I could be a arbiter of justice. This is amazing. I'm so gonna do this. And so yeah, no, I I read up on some books about it, from like civil law to litigation to a book called The Lawyer Bubble, which I unfortunately don't remember the author about it, talking about the sort of career path that is being a lawyer and whatnot. And reading some of the and particularly I wanted to focus on like being a public defender. um, the thing about it was I guess I started to rethink about my career choice. Was just it was a very depressing look in terms of like being a lawyer and whatnot. Not to bag onto the profession in of itself, I just knew for me it's just uh, it was going to be incredibly tough. I was really terrible at speech and debate. I guess I still am at this moment in time. And three, it's just what was it like? Even though it does pay good, that is such a big asterisk in the sense that uh one, you actually have to be scouted out by a big law firm to get the get the major bucks. Two, the career path of being a public defender is not necessarily a very romantic one. You primarily have to do a lot of these pro bono. And three, it's just there's some cases that you just have to take, even if you're not an expert at doing them, according to some stories that I've heard from other lawyers. And four, like being in court is like the last thing you want to do. Like you don't want to be in court, handling cases. Sometimes you just want to be a mediator, just like, hey guys, I think this is probably the best, more affordable route. You kind of just don't want to do that, stuff like that. And also another fifth, I realized that Ace Attorney is not necessarily lawyering. It's a much more dramatic portrayal of that. It's still really engaging. I still love that video game franchise. It's just it's not necessarily lawyering as it is much more of detective work. Just so happens to be in the lawyer context.
Well, I love Ace Detective or Ace Attorney.
Nice.
I haven't finished all of it. I don't know how many seasons are.
Wait.
Is
Wait. What particular game are you in the Ace Attorney?
Well, actually, no, not the game. I play. I watched the anime. They have like an anime series, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
The anime adaptation of it. Do you remember any of the details?
Oh man, I think the last one I remembered was like the episodes where like it was like the big where there was like a boat and like the red guy, I forgot his name already. The red
Miles
attorney.
Edgeworth.
Yeah, like he
Yeah,
was
Miles
like
Edgeworth, the prosecutor.
yeah, like he was accused of like potentially being the person that did that or something. It might
Yeah. He was. Yeah, he was potentially gonna be, or he was suspected in being the killer of the case.
yeah. I was there.
I'll say this. Yeah, that it's a really great case. I'm gonna be an annoying manga snob here and just say, play the game. And yeah, I'm not bagging on the anime adaptation. I just think there's a lot more time spent and a lot more engagement and entertainment value for me in the game compared to the anime adaptation. Uh, I still will say that case is actually kind of bonkers. I love it. So do your homework, good
True.
sir.
True. I have
Yeah.
to I have to play the video game now. Um,
Yes, there you go. There you go. Like I will give you money. Your stimulus check should be coming in, so go on and get that video game. Get it on Steam or if they whatever they got it. If you got an iPhone, they got an app for it. Oh,
right.
blading commercialism. I'm terrible. Regardless.
But yeah, well, that's cool to know a little bit more about your background in that whole lawyer thing. So I'm curious, like when did that happen? Like when you started to find those realizations? Was that like in the very beginning of your college, or like was that kind of in the middle? Like when was that in the timetable for you?
And by realizations, you mean this sort of questioning of whether or not I want to pursue it.
Right.
Right. So once again, it started around the junior year when I got into the Ace Attorney series. I believe it was junior year. When I actually started questioning about it was just like post graduation of senior year, where I did read on those aforementioned books, and I also talked with a few professionals in regards to the work itself. And for me, I just know looking into it, it's very tedious. It's very, for me, very tedious. It's also just one of those things where I just had to think for myself, like, is this something I really see myself passionate about? Because it does require a lot of studying, a lot of investment in my time, and three, it is very much of a straight and narrow path, albeit just a very expensive one. And through that, and much like with any other kind of career, it's just a matter of being specific. So do I want to go into litigation, which is like more criminal law? Do I want to go to civic law? Do I want to I know there are like different kinds of other facets. It's just like at that moment in time, I just kind of had this overwhelming feeling like I just don't know where in the world do I want to take it. So it
Mm-hmm.
was just like uh this sort of like trapeze act, if you will. Just like, am I going here? Am I going here? Or do I just get off the thing and just go on to another ordeal?
So that was all within the transition period from high school to college, like that whole like.
Uh Yeah, it was like within that transition period and a tad bit of like freshman year when I
Okay.
talked with some law school administrators and whatnot.
Was there like did you go into, or what was the major that you came into Cal State with?
Oh, mechanical engineering.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Which is another departure. I'm just like, oh, yeah, wow, what am I doing here? Great.
Right.
So,
Was there a reason for that specific major?
I think it was just primarily that I was just good in math and maybe a tad bit of like, I mean, chemistry didn't have anything to do with it, but it was just like, hey, I'm in here. Maybe I could do something with this. I don't know what particularly, but I just know that mechanical engineering was like a pretty popular thing. Um, so yeah, no, that was my initial major.
So
Change it to chemical engineering. Yeah, go ahead.
so what did you end up graduating with in terms of major?
Oh, it's what we call the refugee major, called the communication studies major.
Wait, why refugee?
Because like that's a kind of like it's a very infamous time. It's just like, oh, it's considered the refugee major just because it, there are a lot of people like me who come from different majors, and they're just like, where do I even go to begin with? Like, I don't even like, where do I even begin? And then so
Hmm.
the communication studies major is just like, hey, got everything here. And if you want to get an idea of how big this department is, when you look into the graduation ceremony booklet, all of it is like in like little fonts, right? I believe it's like three columns of names in just one page. We occupied like 5 pages. We are that big. And so,
Right.
in essence, I've met people who were in the pre-nursing major. I've met people who were also in the mechanical engineering major. I've also known people from the music major. I'm trying to think what other ones were there. Regardless, yeah, no, that it's just for those who just don't know what to do. Don't worry, Com Studies is here to talk you into things.
Okay. But
Yeah.
at least from what I know, it seems like it's a major that like suits you like very well in terms of like what you like, at least from like what you do at the moment. Is that fair? Or
It's a fair assessment, yeah.
okay. I guess this is
Yeah.
like a good opportunity to at least introduce like what you like currently do to the audience. Maybe they don't know exactly like what you like have like as a main, or like as like the main thing you do as with the radio talk show.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like the founder and radio host of an anime radio / podcast show called Otaku Hourly, where essentially we pay it forward to the anime industry and community through just engaging conversations, whether it be from like, topics from shows to conventions to even like certain happenings within the industry and community and whatnot. So
Yeah.
backdoor anime hangout, if you will. Hmm.
Yes. I remember when I first got introduced to Otaku Hourly during college, and I just thought it was like a really like cool, like I always thought people that like started their own thing with a particular subject that they just really liked, so for you like anime, and for you to take that like interest and to like build something, like to build your own show like what you did, I just thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Like I always thought
Thank
like people that went to that length and effort, like they had like a certain, it's just you could see like the passion, and whenever I see that passion, I just can't help but like get really inspired by it. And
Thank you.
yeah, so so that's Otaku Hourly. I believe I also was able to be actually like a guest on one of the
Yeah.
on one of the shows.
Yeah. I remember vaguely too. Do you remember like what our conversation was?
I have
trying to remember.
no idea, but the problem
Yeah. Like,
the problem was is because I believe the topic that was that you guys were doing for the week, I actually didn't know much about it, like unfortunately that week.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
most of the time like that I was on there, I was mostly just kind of like listening and just like really interested in like what you guys had to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was like really like well, one, I was actually really nervous, since when you do walk into like that studio, you like I mean, it is like an experience. Like the soundproofing, like it just like you're not used to that. Like it's a different experience, but for like it's really nice actually. Like because it's like
Yeah.
you have that like specific space that you don't really have anywhere else really.
Yeah. I could totally empathize with what you were saying, because when you enter in, it is a four-walled studio space with a lot of soundproofing in there, with a table, with mic arms, just basically projected onto you, a monitor that's that's on the host's side, and just kind of just really having this like you mentioned before, this sort of space to really just involve yourself in and whatnot. And I do want to also say I apologize for not making the topic, or at least when you were there, a lot more engaging for you.
Oh
I'll
no.
do my best.
No. That's no problem at all. Like I'm just honored that you invited me to come on there. It was definitely definitely an experience. To be in a studio like that. I think partially it probably helped me start something like this up. To have a setup like this, and uh, I mean, it played its part in a good way. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I'll say this too. All credit goes to all the crew members, the mentors that have taught me where where I am today. So it's through them that the show is what it is.
Yeah. Maybe you can go in. How long have you been doing that Otaku Hourly show?
Yeah, it's like it's 5 years running right now.
Wow, 5
Yeah,
years.
I know. It's kind of surreal now I think about it.
Having your own show for 5 years. I mean, that is like amazing. I
Yeah,
mean,
thank
that
you.
to sustain it for that long and to, you know, I mean, that's just an accomplishment. I mean, I'm super impressed.
No, thank you. And once again, all credit goes to the crew and mentors who have made the show what it is and made it stay alive and whatnot. I'm just kind of there doing things.
Yeah, I mean, to give the audience a little bit of like, um, a little bit of the a sense of the scope of like where you guys were broadcasting, like to how many people do you think that you guys were able to reach, with your show?
No, that's the thing where it's like radio is as it's in the name. It's a broadcast. So it's very much like it's casted out there, and then it really depends on who is out there listening. I don't know, according to some reports from 22 West Radio and then K Beach Radio, it's like usually around I think like 10,000 listeners a month and stuff. So I know we had some listeners over at Japan, like about I think like 3 years ago, and then at this moment in time, we're still it's still kind of up in the air of like who is actually listening at this moment in time. So it's like compared to a podcast where it's a lot more narrow, you're able to know who specifically is listening to you. Radio is like a completely just like it's like this whole buffet of just like, hey, we got all these things. Who's gonna be listening during this time? So
Yeah, but definitely. I mean, you were broadcasting definitely on, Cal, like at least to the students of the Cal State Long Beach. So I'm sure
right, yeah.
that you guys reached out to like a lot of people, and I mean that is, I mean, it takes a lot of preparation, I'm sure, and yeah, to just get that feeling of like broadcasting to that kind of audience. I mean, that's just to even think about like maybe 1,000 people like potentially listen. I mean that's really cool.
Yeah. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, people are actually listening to my bad taste in anime. Oh god. Oh well. I got other people who also have bad taste, so I'm not the only one. If you will.
Yes, to touch on a little bit, I mean, yeah, like Jonathan here. I mean, he has been one of the like go-to like anime people. If you ever need like any information on like anime in general, I mean, he's like a perfect person to like maybe just to like shoot that question towards. He's very knowledgeable. I mean, he has his own show on anime specifically, so I mean, he is just yeah, he's I would say like the anime person in my universe here. So definitely.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's funny. It's how do I explain this? Like relaying to you to what you just said. I do have a little story in regards to that. So
Okay.
I was hanging out with some of the 22 West radio buddies. So it includes a sports broadcaster named Zachary Young. Second person is Navi. He's the engineer, and then there's me. host of Otaku Hourly, and we had like one of the interns come in with like a newbie in here, and so Kevin, the intern, starts introducing us to her. So he says, "Oh, that's Zachary. He's the one who does a lot of sports broadcasting. He also has done some stuff over at ESPN. Is like, it's a pleasure to meet you. This is Navi. He's the audio engineer. He makes our shows sound great on the radio. Like, hello, nice to meet you. And this is Jonathan. He's your local anime guy." And it was at that moment in time, I was just like, why don't I get like a cool like nickname? What the hell? Why am I just like the local anime guy? The heck? Like everyone was laughing, and at the same time, I was just like, damn, am I just like the resident weeb in here? This is I feel like this is like a double-edged sword right now. Thanks, Kevin, the intern. We're still good acquaintances, but I will find a hitman for you.
Damn,
I'll
yeah.
find you. Put me on the spot to the newbie.
Oh man, like that does not do you justice. I mean, that does not do you justice.
But hey, if you want to get a little bit of the bad taste in anime, here I am. You also got like a bunch of other people in the crew who have probably better taste than me, or similar tastes than me. So such is with the information.
Yeah. One interesting thing I don't think we've gone over yet. How did you what were the origins of Otaku Hourly? Like, what was like the beginnings like? Like, how was that like, for you?
Oh, it all started with a rejected idea, where it was like I legit wanted to start an alternative music radio show. And so when I was going to, and it all started with a girl named Julie or Julia, either of those two, potato. It was through her that she encouraged me to, reach out to the radio station and pitch out my show. So I was like, okay, great. I got a couple playlists ready. I know my bands. I know my feel. And just when I was about to approach it to one of the social media people, I'm trying to remember her name. Alicia. Yeah, I believe that's her name. When I approached it to her, she immediately said, "And I hope to God it's not one of those alternative music radio stations. We already have like 5 of those." And I had to scramble around, just like, okay, my dream died. But I have to come up with something. I have to come up with something right now. So I immediately said, okay, how about a show all about anime? And she's like, I don't think we ever had one of those. Yeah, you got like the proposal. I was like, I can make one. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? Because I only had like a scant knowledge of anime at that moment in time. So it was like at college, I had to educate myself in terms of the kind of shows that I have to that would give me street cred as a anime guy or like someone who's into anime. So I had to go to the anime club. I have to do my research in terms of what kinds of shows are like respected in the anime community. Got to watch some like anime-tubers or anime YouTubers such as Glass Reflection Arcada, Geguk, other ones that I've noticed along the way. And then I think it was around March of 2015. That's when I did my broadcast, or sort of like pre-broadcast, where I would just be by myself in the studio, do my thing. Don't worry, it didn't hamper the studio and whatsoever. It was at that moment in time where I was alone. Julia was there. I asked her if I could actually do the pre-recording, and she said, "Great, I like totally. You could do the station." And just when I was getting ready, Julia came up to me and she said, "Hey, Jonathan, I actually have to go somewhere. Can I trust you with this station?" Sure. Like, much love, man. And so she goes out there. I'm the only one in the station. And I know that I am going to be the one responsible for all the destruction and all the terrible things that will come out of my mouth and all the terrible things that will happen on a technical level. So for like a good straight hour, I just talk my brains out about anime. And mind you, 5 minutes of me talking about anime is hard. Especially as a new anime fan, it's harder. So I have to keep talking to myself all about anime and just keep coming up with an idea of what in the world I'm talking about. And then this guy named Joel, who we're still good friends at the moment, at this moment in time, he comes into the other studio right next to me, by the window pane, and he looks at me, and I'm like, shuffling my hands, just like trying to do all these things, like like a a manic radio preacher and whatnot. And he looks at it, and he's just like, "Yes, do this." I'm like, "Joe, help me! I can't do any of this." So that passes by. I did like the full hour. I finally got out of hell, and then I submit it. And yeah, no, that was just kind of the story. It was just a little weeblet getting to get educated, get immersed into the community, and then show his chops. It took about 6 months until I got the show officially on air.
Wow. I mean, I have so much to say on that. I mean,
Tell me.
I mean, a quick thing at the end. Like, did that pre-recording? Like, did was it Julia? Did she see that?
Yeah.
And like, what?
It was Julia as well as like the other people within at the time K Beach Radio.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Alicia, it was Christian, it was Danny, Jake, Diego, who are like the audio engineers and also music managers at the time. They all listened to this 59-minute cringe piece of a guy scrambling about what kind of Japanese cartoon I'm ever talking about. I still keep this recording to this very day, and I vomit every time I listen to it.
And what did they say? Did they love it?
I mean, I got it enough to actually be on the schedule, so I could at least say they thought it was cool enough for me to be on the roster. So I just said, okay, I guess it's good. Cool. I don't think it's good, but it got them eyes to, or it got the trust in them to, be a part of the schedule. So I'm happy.
That is an amazing origin story.
Thank you.
I've never been like so. I mean, it started out with an original, with the alternative music thing, and then when you presented the idea, I mean, they just shut it down like right away. And then
without being intentional about it, mind you, she just had to bring that out there. And I know she didn't mean any kind of malevolent feeling on that. It's just my dream died in front of my face before I could ever say it.
That is. I'm sorry.
It just got aborted right in front of my face. I was like, "Oh, it's a miscarriage." Oh boy.
Oh no.
Oh no.
But, oh my god, that's. And then for you to come up with the idea of anime on the spot without, and then at the time not knowing much about anime at all, I mean, that's an amazing story. I love that. I mean, that's just...
Thank you. I hope no one ever goes through that kind of experience.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that's so cool. But yeah, I mean, from that kind of origin story, I mean, you've built it to what it is now. I mean, you had, from that kind of interesting origin to a 10-member, radio crew that you lead, to have these kind of to have that show still going on after 5 years. I mean, that's amazing.
Thank you. And
and it's not I'm sorry, what?
No. I would say I know all credit goes to like the crew members, mentors, and like the anime community that have welcomed me into their circle as the purveyor weeblet that I was.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, very humble, and I'm sure that, the reason why these guys have stuck with you is just because, they see, your good intentions. Like you said, you might not have been like the expert of the knowledge of every anime out there, but, you are a person that uh that was willing to learn, that was willing to to go into that community with an open mind, and to really just uh, absorb the culture, the knowledge, and I mean that's something that people really appreciate. So
Thank you. And I would say it's through the willingness of like the community that, and I know we talked about this before the whole podcast. It's just like that village has helped me grow an appreciation for the medium that is anime. And I would also say coercion is also a factor in all of this. So, you know,
right,
dude.
right. A little bit of context on what we're talking about with the village is we were talking before this a little bit on other topics about anxiety, but also how it takes a village to get someone from knowing what to do, like the knowledge of maybe, let's say, uh like for example, I had food, like we typically people know what kinds of food to eat. It's that typically isn't the problem. A bigger typical problem is people just don't know how, or people have trouble implementing it into their life. So it's the how portion that they struggle with. And we said that a village, a community, your family, your friends, your these are the types of people that will support you to during that journey to implement that change. It's really important.
Right, and also trusted individuals and experts who are willing to support you along that journey, as well as just communication to active communication with that village to say these are the things that I really want to do, and I hope that along the way, they and by extension, you can, you know, help me along the way, and maybe not directly, but provide that kind of support along the way.
Most definitely.
Such is the village. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I love that. For some reason, it just reminded me of the Hidden Leaf Village in Naruto. For some reason, I never thought, I didn't think about that before, but it just, we were talking anime, and I just had to make
yeah.
that connection there.
It's just like oh, it's the bridge. There we go. Nice.
Oh yeah.
Cool, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man,
So
that's
nice.
cool.
Hmm.
So we
Yeah,
talked
thank you.
about the Otaku Hourly, and also with that, I mean, you've also done a lot of networking and connections with the big anime companies out there, such as Crunchyroll and Funimation. Did you want to talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it was just kind of like I think I was just lucky during that time where there I can't say with I can say with Funimation, one of the guys over at K Beach Radio at the time, Charlie Sharp, he's one of the DJs over at that station now, 22 West Radio. Still volunteers there. Uh, he encouraged Christian and I, Christian being the audio engineer of the previous story. He's also one of the crew members and one of my homies for life. He encouraged us to why don't you reach out to that company, say you're willing to promote their movie and whatnot, and then host perhaps like a promotional stuff. And so uh, this is a little tidbit of advice from him that I'm willing to share with all of you. So what he recommends you do is like, okay, so go on their website, look at what their name is, and then simply put in their first name, put a dot in between, and then their last name at the company at or at company.com, like in a very big hypothetical way. So we did that. We crafted the email as much as we could, use the right kind of wording, whether it be from like, oh, we want to promote this particular movie at that moment in time was The Boy and the Beast and Psychopath the movie. Uh, really emphasize like we want to promote and hype, and not only that, we also had to have the numbers because sure it is a show. What companies do want to know is like, do you have like a particular kind of metric to show that we're this will get out into our target demographic. So the way that we worded it was just saying like, we are from K Beach Radio. We're at the heart of Cal State University in Long Beach, broadcasting to 38,000 students on a daily basis, while also maintaining an international audience of 10,000 listeners. And so, with that wording that was brought to us by Charlie Sharp and Danny Lemos, as well as Ms., we were able to get that connection from that person from Funimation and do a promotion. And out of that, since knowing that Christian was also a journalism major, he entertained the idea of, hey, so why don't we actually provide them a coverage story? Like, let's watch the movie and let's interview some people like after the movie and get them to know. We didn't bring in our digital recorder, and I want to give you a little mental image of what it looks like. It looks like a taser. So we know we couldn't bring this thing to the movie theater. So instead, we just Christian recommended we just use our cell phone. It was bonkers because we used that footage and we sent it over to the person who gave us like all this promotional stuff. And through that, we were able to establish a connection with Funimation.
Wow.
And so that happened. Yeah. So it was through just through the helpful suggestions of those people that we were able to go forward and establish a connection with that person from Funimation, doing some giveaways, whether it be from posters to wallets and whether paraphernalia may ensue, with Crunchyroll and like all the other ones such as like Viz Media, 11 Arts, TBS. I think it was just a lot of luck and circumstance where we actually did get to meet them like through anime conventions, pitch ourselves out using business cards, talking about our reach. And it's through that we were able to host like a lot of ticket giveaways for like upcoming movies. We were able to do some prize opportunities. And not only that, we were even able to like get invited to certain screeners and interview some special guests from like Japanese directors to even like composers and voice actors.
That sounds a lot of fun.
Yeah. I know. It's all I gotta say is it's just the crew, mentors, and just the people who I was surrounded with during the time that I was networking with. Like, all credit goes to them. I just was just very lucky to meet all of them and just really connect with these wonderful people and continue to do so.
Cool.
Yeah.
What has it like meant to you, like this whole, your whole journey in this whole radio talk show host and with these connections with Funimation and Crunchyroll, some of the biggest names in anime out there? Like, what has it meant to you, like, in your life, do you think? How much has it impacted you?
I think for me, it was just never to really underestimate communication and commitment. And also just because like the reason why I mentioned those two principles is just because I know that these people, at least in the industry and of itself that I've learned, communication and commitment is very key, where they want to make sure that we're all in on the same page, where it's all crystal clear. Because at the end of the day, like in terms of a company sense, like of course they're making a profit. At the same time, they're serving for their audience, and I know I'm also serving for Otaku Hourly's audience and whatnot. So it's knowing that I like, at least through the communicating with these companies, it has help me and the crew by in large, just to really stay committed into the relationship that we have. Communicate with them if there's any sort of buzz to, or any kind of project to hype up on the buzz, and also along with that, communicate with the audience and stay committed to the audience along the way. And I know for me, it's definitely difficult during these times, especially during my situation. Yet even then, it's still knowing that along the way, it's just active communication and just continual commitment are very key and essential in this industry that is still growing, that is still burgeoning at this moment in time. And I'm glad to see it grow. And I guess in my personal situation, it holds a special place just because I'm like learning this along the way as a relative newbie. And in addition to that, I think during the progress, and maybe you could also uh, relate with me on this. Like at a certain point, you just kind of like reach a valley, like a dry spell. And at least for me, like of course, those are moments and times where it's like maybe I kind of like it's not like I don't like like of course there have been moments that I want to give up, but it's like I think the more pertinent and kind of like uh mischievous question here is just, well, what's the point in doing all this? Like why am I even here? And one of the things that I had to not just entertain, but really ask myself back in 2020 was just, so why did I fall in love with this to begin with? Because as you mentioned before, 5 years is an accomplishment. And yet even then it's just asking myself, so why did I fall in love with doing this for 5 years, or like maybe even longer? And it was like through this process of, once again, that communication and commitment, where I just kind of realized to myself, like, there's a good reason uh why this community has, or why my love for anime still remains to be, I believe, to be as potent as it is. And it's just, as I mentioned before, it's just through that village, it's through that community, it's through knowing that there is an encouraging group of people that I can come back to, that there is an established relationship that I've had with professionals who may have also had a similar experience, and still remind myself to saying, this is the reason why I fell in love with it. It's because I'm seeing it grow. I'm seeing so many new interesting ways, and like how certain communities and certain ways that the industry evolves uh during specific moments, during specific projects. And the anime community, as unique as it is, and sometimes as cringy as it can be, it serves as just like a really fascinating look into like a specific kind of nerd culture that I never thought was going to be not only just this passionate, but also just this sort of supportive, while also being a tad bit toxic along the ways. I know it's kind of a negative thing to say, yet it's just like it's all this culmination of all these different facets. I know I'm saying it's just embracing all these different facets of the anime community that made me kind of fall back in love with it. And it's just relating it to the radio show's core essence. It's just that we live through conversation and discussion, and it's through that hangout, that singular hour, that we can just talk about the things that we love, or the things that matter to us, whether it be out of the benefit or like the discretion of the anime community and industry. It's still knowing that this conversation matters, and whoever is in a part of it or is a part of it, we're willing to make that space. And it was just kind of like those that's just what I've learned from the past 5 years. And maybe even the sixth year I'll learn a lot more from the community and the village that I have the pleasure, the fortune, and the luck to be with.
Yeah. I think what I hear there, I mean, that is very much the village. That we've talked about. To have that group of people that share a common interest and see you and accept you for who you are. And I mean, that's just really, it seems like a really important part to your life. And I think that I think that's amazing. I think
Thank you.
amazing to have, to see, and to see like what it has produced. I mean, to see that a show that survived for 5 years under your care, to see, I'm sure the amount of people that it's reached and have enjoyed it. That's all thanks to your guys' efforts. I think that
Thank you.
yeah, definitely the part about whether questioning, I thought was interesting, like when you're questioning
Mhm.
why have you continued this show. And I definitely think, yeah, people definitely get back to that question in whatever they're doing. I think that we always start with a certain like idea, and sometimes we just like have enjoyed it for like a long time, and then at some point we do have that reflection period where it's just like, is this like how it is this like what I've originally intended it to be, and also like, has it been good to me, like as a person and as an individual. And I think that
Right.
that's what you had. And I think that I think that's perfectly fine. And to see that you're still continuing on with that,
Thank you.
that's good.
Mhm.
Where do you
Yeah.
see Otaku Hourly 5 years down the line, if you had to guess?
Ooh, career counselor questions over here. Yeah. I think for me, honestly, I kind of just want to see it more like broaden to like wider horizons in terms of just like being more in tune with the community, being more active online and whatnot, which is something I still need to work on. I don't participate in much social media, which I'm gonna hopefully change. Maybe, I don't know. This will go out, but I do want to see like uh I do want to see at a point where we do get invited to more conventions as guests. I do want to see some more impact in terms of like, when we do discuss about a show, there is active engagement. There are people who do say, hey, we actually know about it through Otaku Hourly. And I think ultimately, I just want to see like for in terms of a crew member basis, I want to see each and every one of them grow into like their. I mean, they already have their own individual personality and whatnot. I think like I want to see them grow to a point where like they do leave the net. And I don't mean that in like a negative, like just get out of here. No, I think it's just like at a certain point in time, I know that they're gonna have like different responsibilities, and I want to at least on a principle basis, know that that this show and perhaps my involvement in it has helped them come uh sharpen them more as a personality, as well as just like a general person within the industry uh to be better. And um yeah, no, I hope to at least be of like a respectable mid-size, like maybe like 10,000 or 100,000, subscriber if I want to put on YouTube analytics and whatnot. Um, Subscribe like radio show / podcast, just to say like, hey, these guys talk about anime, and if you want to join in, then like, hey, it's your backdoor anime hangout. People can join in. We're willing to make the space.
I love that. I love that. Are you guys currently on YouTube, or where are you guys currently on?
We actually just started uploading on Spotify and Pocket Cast. And I know most of our bank is on Mixcloud, so if you want to get like a full like log and history of where our show is, it's on the Mixcloud. I will say we're slowly developing on the YouTube channel simply because we mainly have, or at least through my tutelage, which I still need to improve along the way. It was primarily through the radio show and Mixcloud. So at this moment in time, I can say focus more on the Spotify, focus more on the Mixcloud, and we're continually developing on the YouTube page. So yeah, getting our foot wet along the way.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to your like leaving the nest kind of metaphor there. I think that's really cool. Throughout the show, you've mentioned, your mentors and the people that you're grateful for that, were able to guide you and give you advice throughout the way. And I think that's a really cool way to like circle it back. You were talking about, your tutelage to your, crew members, and, and I understand like the metaphor of leaving hoping to see them leave the nest, because, I'm thinking, there's you, the host, and then here's your crew, and most definitely what you'd like to see them is for them to come in, as their, raw form, they're diamonds in the rough, and throughout your interactions and your commitment to the show, you would hope to see that at the end of it, you get to see them as a more, more polished and more, and for them to have learned and to, to just see like improvement in their time with you.
Right.
And I think in a way that you're their mentor in a way to guide them through that process as best as you can. And I think that's just really cool to bring it full circle a little bit.
Thank you. I haven't actually really thought about it that way, so thank you for enlightening me on that. It's funny because it actually does come from an anime I watched. Have you heard of an anime movie called Liz and the Bluebird?
I have not.
Okay, so I'll spare you the details as best as I can. It's a side story of this one Kyoto Animation show called Sound Euphonium, which is marching band the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And Liz and the Bluebird is a side story to that, where it's two different kinds of stories. One is the more allegorical kind, that is Liz and the Bluebird, based upon the German folktale. And then the actual story, which involved two high schoolers who eventually will graduate and be on their own separate ways. And speaking on the form on the allegorical side, there comes a point where the Bluebird has to fly away. And, the whole note, like that movie really puts a question on like, if you love something, set it free. But here's the question. What if that thing doesn't want to leave? Then what do you do? And this is how Liz and the Bluebird answers it in like a very poignant way, where it's saying, no, I have to release you, because in here, because if you stay here, you'll never know how far your wings are going to spread and soar into the air. So I want you to go out there and notice how far and how high you can fly. That's at least what I want to do with OH, at least for me personally.
I mean, I love it. I love, imagining that. I love them. I love like that metaphor, the meaning behind it. it reminds me,
Yeah.
to tie it back a little bit. It reminds me a lot about
Yeah.
anxiety. Actually, it reminds me a lot about how
Mm.
kids, one of the
Oh,
things is.
excuse me, Gabe. Do you mind if I could turn on the light real quick?
Oh
My
yeah,
my
no,
sincerest
no,
apologies.
no problem,
Yeah,
no problem.
I am slowly getting progressively darker along the way. Wow, this is such an interesting thing.
No, you're
Hopefully, you guys
good.
get to play Ellen. No, man. Thank you all for adjusting me for my lighting. Brief moment of unprofessionality. However, uh, continue on. I was listening earlier.
Right. It just remind me about the. I just think about anxiety a lot, and it reminds me about like how you know when you look at kids, when they're. It reminded me in a way of like when you're a kid, you don't really when you're starting school, you're always afraid of like of school, like you don't want to like
Right.
leave home, like you always
Hmm.
and one of the parents' job is to kind of not pamper the child and be like, yeah, like no, like stay home. Like no, it's more of like it's to let the child know that like I know it's scary, but you can do this. And it's kind of like this idea that because it's bad, technically it's not good for the child to like for the parent to just be like, yeah, like come back, it's okay, like I'll protect you from like everything, because it's like the child
Yeah.
won't grow,
Hmm.
and the one of the purpose, one of the duties of a parent is to facilitate the growth of the child. And one of the things that they have to do is like get the child to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations that they might feel scared in,
Mm.
right? So even though like school is scary, like it's a new environment, like new people, like it's the child needs to develop skills to be more comfortable in those uncomfortable situations, because life
Mm.
is like that. Like life is always going to have these uncomfortable situations where you are nervous, and you are like it's a new experience, and you're scared, and that's perfectly normal. But the point is to try to stay in it, to try to stay in that uncomfortable period, so that your body learns, hey, it's not as bad as you're thinking. And that there might
Right.
be,
Right.
you know, that there's
Hmm.
something here for you, kind of thing.
Right. 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 And I would also say, like, echo with what mentioning here. It's like uh, kids do need to adapt into those uncomfortable situations. For that is kind of where the foundation of growth happens and whatnot. And I think, uh, uh, like as parents or even just like as guiding figures, I think my communication professor, I don't remember her name, unfortunately, but I do know she teaches about uh, communication conflict resolution.
Oh yeah,
uh,
I love that.
what she mentioned, yeah, what she mentioned is that, and also encourages, is that you have to let, though, like your kids or like your pupils know that I'm not perfect. The world is not perfect. And even to a very heart-wrenching degree, it's just like you got to tell them you're not perfect either. And that still makes you wonderful. Like you are still loved within those moments in time. And life is uncomfortable. I could honestly say, like, when I did get into Cal State Long Beach as a freshman, I legit wanted to go away. Like, I wanted to run because it's just uh, like sitting in a lecture hall is just like, what is this? I don't understand these swivel chairs. Like, who are these people and whatnot? I had this anxiety, and I had to come to at least for me, I not only just come to terms like I know like I have to deal with this for like 4 years. I also think along the way, like much like anything that I've gone through each sort of stage in my life, whether it be changing grades, changing schools, and whatnot, it's just knowing that this is a new segment of life that I know I can possibly adapt to, And not only that, I think an advantage in my case was just like I got to go back to my family and really just vent out to them, or even go back to some of my high school friends who did attend Cal State Long Beach, such as yourself, like uh, Matt Aquino. I'm trying to remember some of the other homies and stuff over at the gaming lounge, and just really take that moment in time and applying a little bit from a TED talk, a little snippet from mindfulness practice. It's just the best way, and I guess kids at a certain age will understand it. It's like the best way to adapt through things is just to embrace the suck. It's just it's gonna suck for a good minute, and you know what? That's gonna be fine. It may not feel fine now, yet much like any sort of feeling or emotion, as long as we make space for the discomfort, can we at least rest assured that um, another feeling will come in, another emotion will come in its place along the way. It's just a matter of paying care, um, careful, compassionate attention to that sort of suckiness, or like that kind of feeling during adaptation.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an important skill that people. I think everybody goes through that.
Mhm.
I think some people struggle with it more than others, but I think that
Mhm.
I think at least I think everybody can relate a little bit to exactly what you said.
Same with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Jonathan Beltran.
Gabe
This
DeSildo.
this has been an
uh,
amazing. I have fully enjoyed this hour and 20 minutes that we have embarked. We even talked an
mhm.
hour before. It wasn't recorded, but I mean
Yes.
it was fully. I mean I enjoyed it all the way.
I did too, and even if that hour wasn't recorded, just know I've enjoyed every minute, every second of it, and it's always a pleasure talking with you. And thank you so much for taking the time to invite me, a little or your local anime guy, to
Oh
talk about
no!
stuff that will continue to scar me for the
Oh,
rest of my life.
oh my goodness! No
Oh yeah,
justice in this world.
yeah,
Oh man, but you're definitely much more than that, Jonathan. You are a leader. You're in my eyes, an entrepreneur in your in your field. Building up a show like yours is no easy task. It
Mhm.
you know it takes a lot of effort, like you said. It took a lot of communicating with people, and it took a lot of commitment from yourself and from your crew. Um, there's that. I think that you're very like many people said, very compassionate person. I think that you're a very intelligent person. I think you think a lot. I think that um, you know you think deeply of many things, and it shows when you're in conversation. I think that you're able to maneuver around ideas very fluidly and voice your opinion, in a very sophisticated manner. So you're much more than the local anime guy.
Thank you. And allow me to say this. I thank all of my teachers for making me who I am at this very day. So, Gabriel, thank you for being my teacher.
Oh, Jonathan. No, no, no. Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Where can the viewers find you? I know we talked about it a little bit, but how about a little bit of recap of where they can find you and Otaku Hourly?
I mean, if I want to be a total douche, I could say Long Beach, but California specifically. No, no. I know from me with Otaku Hourly, we're definitely on Facebook, Instagram. We just made a TikTok too. I need to start doing stuff like that. If you do want to listen to our shows, we do have like our top 5 over at our Spotify. Um, in addition to that, we're gonna our history backlog is on Mixcloud, and not only that, we're continually developing the YouTube, so keep an eye out for that. Uh, for me, I'll be honest, I'm not as active as social media as a lot of people would like me to. However, I may change that. You could find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So if you want to be creepy, it's okay. I'm creepy too. So, I'll be there. I mean, I'll add a friend. But
Right.
yes.
Well, we'll most definitely include all those links. We'll definitely need to get that from Jonathan, but rest assured, every single link there will be down in the description below, so you can always check it out whenever you need to. All right, Jonathan. Anything else that you would like to add at the end of the show here?
I would honestly just say like I know it's just been kind of like a running thing for me. It's just I do want to thank my Otaku Hourly crew, which is Christian, Marvin, Matt Imagine, JC, Dakota, Cliff. I'm trying to remember some of the others. Jay, Koyo, Donnie K. Some of the other previous members who were there too, like John, Amber, Eddie, Tori, Scott, Charm, Enrique. Like every one of these people have made Otaku Hourly is what it is, and I want to give an extended shout out to like the village that I've just was so fortunate to being a part of, and I also want to thank you, Gabe, for just giving the space for me to to talk and to really just break that social media wall that you've mentioned to me back in our conversation. So allow me to just say continue to break down that wall, because I know within throughout the years that we haven't really talked, I can definitely say for sure that a conversation much like this one and many more will just be like a source of healing and a source of great insight to just the village that you were able to be a part of and are still in. So thank you.
That I don't know what to say, Jonathan. I
You
mean,
don't have to say anything.
I, I'm happy that I was able to give you that space. I'm, I, whatever you were able to get out of this. I'm glad. I have for me personally, I just really enjoy listening to people's stories. I mean, here when I've listened, to an hour and a half of your life and your experiences. I mean, it's just amazing to me. It wasn't easy. There was a lot of hardship that definitely that you had, but you overcame them, and you know and the stuff that you were able to build, like, I mean, I'm just in awe in every aspect of it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what else that you're going to do, to see where you're going to be. I just see a lot of I just see you building lots of cool things and making a lot of people happy. So, and not only that, but I really hope that you are able to make yourself happy as well, throughout that process, and to genuinely be in a good place, and to just enjoy what you do. I, I really hope that maybe the next time that you come on here, or maybe even sooner, just to see kind of like how you've been, or maybe we can talk anime or whatever you want to maybe talk about then. But yeah, I've
Yeah,
thoroughly enjoyed it, so thank you for coming on.
absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, thank you once again. And allow me to say all the best to you in your podcasting endeavors. May may the best may the best happen to you, and know that along the dry spell, I think there is so much joy to be had. And I know where the heart is in your podcast, And if you do need a reminder, just know that the village is right here with you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm sure that I'll be lost along the way, and I'll definitely ask you for that reminder.
It's okay. I'll do the same.
All right, guys. That'll be wrapping up our third episode of the Gabriel podcast here. I had the honor of getting to talk to my friend here, Jonathan Beltran, on his experiences in high school, college, and his show, Otaku Hourly. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys on our next episode. Have a nice day, you guys.
Hashtag Gabe the Babe.
Hashtag Jonathan the Babe. Let's get that in the chat.
Would love to see it. All right.
All right.
Deuces, y'all.
Peace. Bye.